The rest of the Gryffindor students shift their eyes on Neville as he raises his hand. McGonagall sighs.
Is it always going to be you, Longbottom?
I'm afraid so, Mom.
While we know Sirius Black is gone tonight, I think you can safely assume he will, at some future time, attempt to return. Let me be clear. You are not to move about the castle alone, and you are not to write down the password. Understood?
A collective nod of the head. McGonagall gives the ties of her robe a sharp tug and collects herself.
Very well then. Go to bed.
As the students drift off, Ron casts a last angry glance towards Hermione, who now holds Crookshanks in her arms.
I could have killed him.
Hermione turns and sees Harry staring out of the window.
He was right there, close enough to touch. I could have killed him.
The trio makes their way down to the slope.
I find it astonishing that someone who prides herself of being so logical can be in such denial.
Harry, will you explain to your friend Ronald that he has absolutely no proof whatsoever that my sweet, unassuming cat ate his shabby, side-scraped rat?
Harry was there. He'll tell you how it was. Go on, Harry. Tell her.
No, I won't. You know why? Because I don't care about your stupid rat. And I don't care about your stupid cat. I've got a few other things on my mind right now.
Really? Wasn't you had to roll under the bed last night to avoid getting cut into ribbons? A person could die being your friend, Harry.
Ron stops, wishing he could take it back. They all wish he could. Avoiding each other's eyes, they turn and continue on. Moments later, Hagrid, wearing a gigantic, hairy brown suit and perhaps the world's ugliest yellow and orange tie, stands knee-deep in the shallows of the Black Lake, skimming rocks as big as flagstones across the water's shiny surface. As he turns, the trio catches a brief sight of his eyes, red with tears. He then looks away.
How did it go, Hagrid?
Buckbeak like London.
I meant the hearing.
Oh, that, well, I got up and said my bits, you know, about how Buckbeak was a good hippogriff, and as long as you treat him with respect, he treat you the same. Then Lucius Malfoy got up and said his bit, you know, how Buckbeak was a dangerous, deadly beast that no teacher in their right mind would ever expose their students to.
And?
Hagrid slings another rock into the water.
You mustn't blame yourself, Hagrid.
Draco. It's him the committee should punish. It's him they should send off to the forest, not Buckbeak.
Buckbeak's not going back to the forest.
Where's he going, Hagrid?
He asked for the worst, you see. Lucius Malfoy did. And the committee granted it. Buckbeak's been sentenced to death.
Later that night, as Dementors drift ominously near the entrances of the castle, restless and in silence, a room of shadows. While those around him slumber, Harry lies awake, unable to sleep. Finally, he turns to his cupboard, takes the Marauder's map, and whispers,
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
The crooked doors and serpentine passageways of Hogwarts begin to materialize across the parchment. Then, a tiny dot catches Harry's eye. He frowns. It reads, Peter Pettigrew. Moments later, Harry progresses down a dark corridor, map in hand and wand aglow. In the paintings he passes, the subjects snore softly. Harry squints towards the end of the corridor, down at the map. Pettigrew moves quickly down the adjoining corridor, 20 yards away, now 10. Only seconds away, one trembling in his hand, Harry glances from the map to the dark corridor ahead, again and again. Then, as the dots are about to collide, he slowly looks up, turns the corner, heart in his chest and meets himself, reflected in a mirror. He blinks, startled, then glances down back at the map. Pettigrew has moved past him. Confused, Harry wheels, casting his wand along the wall.
Oi, what's the big idea? Binding people in the dead o' night.
Harry jumps, but it's only an old man in a painting, scowling in the glare of Harry's wand light. On the map, Pettigrew continues to move away. Harry follows, then stops at the sound of footsteps other than his. The wand's light dances across the parchment and finds another dot. Approaching fast, Severus Snape.
Mischief managed.
Harry stashes the map, extinguishes his wand, and turns into the harsh glare of Snape's wand.
Potter, what are you doing wandering the corridors at night?
I was sleepwalking.
A sneer curls the corner of Snape's lips.
How extraordinarily like your father, Potter. He too was exceedingly arrogant, strutting about the castle.
My dad didn't strut, nor do I. Now, if you don't mind, I appreciate you lowering your wand.
Snape eyes Harry coldly, composing himself as he lowers his wand.
Turn out your pockets.
Harry doesn't move, his eyes still boring into Snape.
Turn out your pockets.
Finally, Harry obliges. Upon seeing the map, Snape's eyes glitter.
And this, what might it be?
Spare bit of parchment.
Really? Reveal your secret.
To Harry's horror, words begin to appear. Snape studies him, a sadistic half smile on his lips, turning the map his way.
Read it.
Mrs. Mooney, Wormtail, Patfoot, and Prongs offer their compliments to Professor Snape, and
Go on.
request that he keeps his abominably large nose out of other people's business.
Why, you insolent little...
Professor.
Snape turns and sees Lupin standing in the shadows.
Well, Lupin, out for a little walk in the moonlight, aren't we?
Harry, you alright?
That remains to be seen. I've just now confiscated a rather curious artifact from Mr. Potter. Take a look, Lupin. This is supposed to be your area of expertise.
Lupin takes the parchment, which now displays a rather unflattering caricature of Snape and a pair of potions.
Clearly, it's full of dark magic.
I seriously doubt that, Service. It looks as to me if it merely insults anyone who tries to read it. I suspect it's the Zonka's pride, nonetheless. I shall have pursued any hidden qualities it may possess. As you say, it's my area of expertise. Come on, Harry.
Harry walks aside a fuming Lupin, who grips the map fiercely.
I don't know how this map came to be in your possession, Harry. And yes, I know it is a map. But I'm astounded that you didn't turn it in. Did you ever stop to think that this, in the hands of Sirius Black, is a map to you?
Harry walks silently with Professor Lupin, who could barely contain his anger.
Your father didn't set much store by the rules either, but he and your mother gave their lives to save yours, gambling their sacrifice by walking about the castle unprotected, with a killer on the loose, strikes me as a pretty poor way to repay them. I won't cover up for you again, Harry.
Lupin enters his office, tossing the map on his desk, and begins to sort through some papers. Harry lingers briefly in the doorway, absently eyeing the waxing moon that glimmers beyond the window, then starts to turn away, but stops.
Professor, just so you know, I don't think the map always works. Earlier, it showed someone in the castle. Someone I know to be dead.
And who was that, Harry?
Peter Pettigrew.
Lupin hesitates ever so slightly, then returns to his papers.
Very well. I'd like you to return to your dormitory now. Oh, and Harry, don't take any
As Harry looks back, Lupin taps the map.
If you do, I'll know.
Next morning, during the divination class, the students gaze into crystal balls, faces reflecting the mist within, so that their very skin seems to be made of smoke. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sit apart. Professor Trelawney meditates during class.
Relax. Let your mind go. Crystal gazing requires that you clear the inner eye. Only then will you see. Oh my, what do we have here?
As Trelawney eyes Harry's crystal, Hermione rolls her eyes.
Let me guess, it's the grin, isn't it?
My dear, from the moment you first arrived in my class, I sensed that you did not possess the proper spirit for the noble art of divination. You see there? You may be young in years, but the heart that beats beneath your bosom is as shriveled as an old maid's. Your soul as dry as the pages of the books to which you so desperately cleave.
Stung, Hermione starts to reply, but remarkably seems incapable of a single word. Rising gracelessly, she exits, knocking her crystal ball to the floor. Everyone watches the ball roll slowly out the doorway.
In late spring, one of our numbers will leave us forever. You know, Professor. You saw.
On these occasions, Miss Brown, I take no joy in my gift.
Later that morning, as the students exit, Ron, walking separately from Harry, turns to Neville.
She's gone mental. Hermione has. I mean, not that she wasn't always mental, but now it's out in the open for everyone else to say.
Ron stops, glances at Harry, then moves off. Harry watches him go along with the others, then spies Hermione's crystal ball lying on the landing. Harry picks it up and takes it back to the classroom. He sets Hermione's crystal ball back on its own stand and starts to leave when the smoke within the crystal suddenly darkens. Leaning closer, Harry watches a shape from within the crystal ball. It's unmistakable, Sirius Black. Just then, a shadow crawls the glossy surface of the crystal and a hand grabs Harry's shoulder. He wheels around, only to find
Professor Trelawney.
He will return tonight.
Harry stiffens. Trelawney's voice is eerily hollow.
Sorry?
Tonight, when the clock strikes 12, the servant shall break free. He and his master shall be reunited. It cannot be prevented.
Trelawney smiles savagely. Then her head falls forward. When it rises, she blinks, eyeing the hand that lies upon Harry's shoulder. Her hand.
So sorry, dear boy. Did you say something?
Her voice is normal once more. Harry shakes his head.
No, nothing.
Later that afternoon, Harry, Ron, and Hermione pass by the courtyard and see a pot-bellied man sitting in the courtyard, sharpening his axe. They hurry past the executioner to the Hogwarts Castle bridge, Harry leading the trio to Hagrid's hut.
Can't believe it, they're gonna kill Buckbeak. It's too horrible.
It just got worse.
Hermione and Ron look at the distance and see Malfoy along with Crabbe and Goyle, lurking within a group of huge menhirs, binoculars in hand, spying on Hagrid, who stands in the pumpkin patch tossing dead ferrets to Buckbeak. Hagrid wipes his eyes and lopes into the hut.
Did you see the big fat blubbering elf? Oh, this is going to be rich. Did I tell you? Father said I can keep the head. Have you come to see the show?
Foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach.
Malfoy stumbles back against the tree, cross-eyed with fear as Hermione jabs the tip of her wand under his nose. When
Hermione, no!
She turns. Surprised, Ron's spoken to her. he looks away.
He's not worth it.
Hermione nods, then, quick as lightning, lands a cross right jab to Malfoy's jaw, putting him flat on his back. Stunned, he leaps to his feet and runs, Crabbe and Goyle huffing and puffing behind. Moments later, the trio makes their way down the slope and past Buckbeak, chewing on a ferret with idle satisfaction. Hagrid stands by the window watching Buckbeak. Harry and Ron sit. Hermione makes tea.
Look at him. Loves to smell the trees when the wind blows.
I say we set him free.
They know I did it. And I would only get Dumbledore in trouble. Gonna come up, you know. Says he'll want to be with me when it happens. Great man, Dumbledore.
We'll stay with you too, Hagrid.
Yet it will not. Think I want you seeing a thing like this? No. You drink your tea and be off. But before you go, I want to see you and Ron shake hands, Harry.
Ron and Harry exchange a glance, then look to Hagrid.
Think I haven't seen how it's been between you two? Go on now.
Reluctantly, Harry and Ron extend their hands and shake.
Good. Now then, Ron, I want to see you give Hermione a hug.
What?
Go on. You two have been at it all year and I'm sick of it.
Acutely uncomfortable, Hermione and Ron step forward and perform perhaps the most awkward hug Hogwarts has ever seen.
Crikey, that's just about the most pathetic hug I've ever seen. But you did it, and that's what matters. There's just one more thing.
I'm not kissing Fang if that's what you're thinking.
Hearing his name, Fang, Hagrid's giant boardhound, thumps his tail happily on the floor. Hagrid turns, takes the lid off from a flower tin, and a tiny head, ears flecked with powder, emerges.
Scabbers! You're alive!
Here is to keep a closer eye on your pets, Ron.
I think you owe someone an apology.
Right. Next time I see Crookshanks, I'll let him know.
I meant me.
Crikey, here we go again.
A glass jar on the shelf shatters. As Hermione scoops up a jagged star-shaped stone, a second stone bounces off the back of Harry's head.
Ow!
Harry turns to look out the window.
Hagrid.
Everyone turns, looks as Dumbledore and Fudge approach. Behind them, in a fluttering shroud of crows, the executioner follows, axe at his side. Hagrid begins to panic.
You got to go. It's almost dark. Anyone sees it outside the castle, it'll be trouble. Big trouble, especially for you, Harry.
The door shakes. Hagrid stiffens in fear. Harry reaches up, puts his fingers to Hagrid's trembling lips, and whispers to the others.
Come on.
As the trio exit through the back door, Fudge, Dumbledore, and the executioner enter through the front. A murder of crows flutter onto the roof. More of them drop into the patch and begin to slowly circle Buckbeak. Harry and the others duck behind the pumpkins and watch Hagrid solemnly greet the others. Fudge appears at the window, picking his nose. Just then, a shh is heard. Hermione turns. The branches of the trees behind her are dancing oddly.
What?
Nothing. I thought I just saw. Never mind.
Moments later, the trio slips silently into a stand of trees. Beyond them, Hagrid's hut glimmers desolately in the dying sun. High in the clock tower, a bell begins to toll. The trio stops, fighting their tears. A quartet of bleak shadows files from the hut. One of the shadows, Dumbledore, raises his hands and points, directing the attention of the others away from Buckbeak. Dumbledore speaks briefly, unintelligible from this distance, Then the crows shriek excitedly, and the executioner separates from the others, disappearing behind a low stand of trees. The axe hangs seemingly forever, etched against the sky, then drops from sight. A sickening chop fouls the breeze, and Ron and Harry stare towards the trees in disbelief. Hermione, face turned away, trembles. The sun sets, dropping behind the mountains in the distance. Hermione turns, sees a frenzied spray of crows stain the bloody sky, their primal shrieking rising like a curse. Slowly, Hermione's hand falls onto Ron's shoulder, and continuing down the length of Ron's arms to his hands, where a drop of blood hangs from his finger, drops like a tear. Ron stares at his hand, at the blood running down his finger.
He bit me.
His eyes shift, and sees Scabbers streaking away.
Ron, no!
As Ron chases after Scabbers, Harry and Hermione give a chase. Ron reaches the summit and disappears over the top. Hermione and Harry follow. Harry and Hermione reach the top of the ridge and stop.
Harry, do you realize what tree this is?
Ron nabs Scabbers and cradles him in his bloody palm.
Oi, what's gotten into you?
Just then, as Ron kneels down under the whomping willow, Harry sees a silhouette lurking in the bushes.
That's not good. Run! Run!
Ron spins and looks towards Harry.
Harry, Hermione, run!
Harry's eyes shift, bounding toward him in the gathering gloom is an enormous, pale-eyed, jet-black dog. Harry shields himself when the dog leaps clear over him.
Ah!
The dog's teeth flash and snap insert sound closes on Ron's foot, dragging him towards the trunk like a rag doll. Instantly, Harry dashes forward and leaps out, grabbing Ron's hands, but he and Ron just keep skidding along the ground.
I got you.
Hermione pitches herself onto Harry's feet, and the three of them go scudding along.
Harry!
Harry raises his chin. The dog vanishes into the gap at the base of the tree and begins to pull Ron through.
Hold on! Run!
But it's no use. The dog is too powerful. Harry glances around desperately, then finds himself looking directly into Ron's eyes. He can read his mind.
No, Ron!
One by one, Ron releases his fingers from Harry's forearm, sacrificing himself.
No!
But Ron closes his eyes, releases his hands fully, and disappears. As his voice echoes deep into the earth, Harry and Hermione rise and peer into the hole. The whomping willow sweeps first Hermione, then Harry into the air and drops them on their backsides. As one, they rise and run back towards the gap in the tree. A branch swoops down. Hermione ducks, but Harry doesn't. He is flung one way, his glasses the other. Hermione hops over another branch and looks briefly pleased with herself, only to find herself swept high in the air by a second branch. She looks down and sees Harry searching the ground for his glasses.
Harry!
Harry squints up and sees a pile-diving fist of a branch screaming straight down for his head. He rolls away just as the branch pulverizes the ground. Hermione whips through the frame, still clinging on for dear life, and Harry rises. He's promptly knocked to the ground again. Hermione goes crashing through the high branches, and Harry spies his glasses and grabs them. Rising, he fits them to his face and everything turns crystal clear, just in time to see Hermione flying madly towards him. Hermione reaches out and grabs Harry's shirt, riding the branch in tandem, The two boomerang back, hurtling towards the trunk of the tree, through the gap and into the darkness. Harry hits the ground hard. Hermione falls on top of him.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. Lumos.
As the tip of Harry's wand glows, it reveals a long, snaking tunnel.
Where do you suppose this goes?
I have a hunch. I just hope I'm wrong.
Harry and Hermione make their way through the primitive passageway, ducking through the roots that dangle overhead. Then, abruptly, the tunnel ends. Confused, they both glance about. Then, as one of them peers up, a small opening. Harry reaches up and hoists himself through, pulling Hermione up afterwards. Both of them look about. Paper peels from the walls, and stains suspiciously similar to dried blood blot the floorboards. Shattered furniture lies strewn. Harry doesn't answer, staring at the dog prints in the dust on the floor. The ceiling creaks. They dash to the stairs. They come out and look down. A wide, shiny stripe cuts through the dust-laden floor, as if something had been dragged to the end of the hallway, where a light seeps from a door.
Knocks.
His wand light dies. Slowly, they step through the door. Exchange a look. Hermione nods. One ready, and Harry kicks the door aside. Ron sits upon a sagging bed, clutching his bloody foot.
Ron, you're okay.
The dog. Where's the dog?
It's a trap, Harry. He's the dog. He's an animagus.
Harry looks down and follows the paw prints on the floor to a pair of filthy human feet. Harry looks up and slowly sees the man standing in the shadows. Filthy, matted hair hangs to his shoulders, his skin like a corpse, serious black. He studies Harry's face keenly. Harry draws his wand.
If you want to kill Harry, you'll have to kill us too.
No, only one will die tonight.
Then it'll be you!
Harry, no!
Just then, footsteps sound. Black wheels towards the door, edgy. Harry eyes Black, wand hand shaking violently. As Black turns back, he stops and regards Harry cautiously.
Going to kill me, Harry?
Yes.
Harry raises his wand. The door crashes. Lupin enters.
Professor Lupin!
Lupin ignores them, eyeing Black intensely.
Looking a bit ragged, aren't we, Sirius? Finally, the flesh reflects the madness within.
You'd know all about the madness within, wouldn't you, Remus?
The two regard each other, the moment taut with tension. Then, Lupin steps forward and embraces Black like a brother.
No, I trusted you. I covered up for you, and all this time you've been his friend. He's a werewolf. That's why he's been missing classes.
Harry and Ron stare dumbfounded at Lupin. Black howls then, bitterly amused. Lupin eyes him, then turns back.
How long have you known?
Since Professor Snape said the essay.
You really are the brightest witch of your age, Hermione.
Yes, you glow like the sun and you howl at the moon. Enough talk. He dies. Now if you won't do it with me, Remus, I'll do it alone.
Wait, Sirius.
I did my waiting. 12 years of it, in Azkaban.
Lupin eyes Black, then nods.
Alright then. But wait, one moment. Harry has the right to know why.
I know why.
Harry raises his wand when Lupin wheels and, with a flick of his own, disarms him. Furious, Harry eyes Black murderously.
You betrayed my parents. You sold them to Voldemort.
I don't deny it, but if you knew the whole story.
If you'll give me a chance, I'll explain. Look.
You never heard her, did you? My mom tried to stop Voldemort killing me. And you did that. You did it!
I persuaded Lily and James to change to him at the last moment. Persuaded them to use him as secret keeper instead of me, Harry. I as good as killed him.
Harry's eyes flashed to Black's, glittering with pain.
Someone did betray your parents, Harry. Someone in the room right now. Someone who until quite recently I believed to be dead.
What are you talking about?
Peter. Pettigrew.
What are you talking about? There's nobody here.
Oh, yes, there is.
Black turns, then, to Ron, and croons in a cruel sing-song.
Come out, Peter. Come out and play.
Ron draws back from Black's demented gaze.
You're mad.
Harry's eyes shift from Ron's face to his hands, where Scabbers twists violently. As a curious expression befalls Harry, Lupin and Black, as one, raise their wands when
Expelliarmus.
the wands fly from their hands. The others turn and find Snape standing in the doorway, smiling smugly.
Vengeance is sweet. How I'd hoped I'd be the one to catch you.
Service.
I told Dumbledore you were helping your old friend into the castle, and here's the proof.
Brilliant, Snape. Once again, you've put your keen and penetrating mind to the task and as usual come to the wrong conclusion. Now, if you'll excuse us, Remus and I have a bit of unfinished business to tend to.
As Black approaches, Snape puts his wand to Black's neck.
Give me a reason. I beg you.
Don't be a fool, Cerberus.
He can't help it. It's a habit by now.
Quiet, Sirius.
Listen to you two, quarreling like an old married couple. The creature and the criminal. Witty as ever, I see. Tell me, will you be so irreverent when I turn you over to the Dementors? Do I detect a flicker of fear? One can only imagine what it must be like to endure the Dementor's kiss. It is said to be unbearable to witness, but I'll do my best.
Snape's eyes harden. He gestures to the door.
After you.
As the others start to go, Harry glances at the table where Lupin had left Harry's wand. In a flash, it's in his hands.
Expelliarmus!
Snape soars into the air and hits the wall with a down. Ron and Hermione stare in shock.
Harry, you attacked a teacher.
Harry looks a bit shocked himself, then turns to Lupin.
Pettigrew was at school with us. We thought he was a friend.
No, Pettigrew's dead. He killed him.
As Harry points at Black, Black laughs mirthlessly.
I thought so too, until you mentioned seeing Pettigrew on the map.
The map was lying then.
The map never lies. Pettigrew's alive and he's right there.
Black points at Ron. Ron goes white with fear.
Me? He's gone mental.
Not you, you idiot. You rat.
Scabbers? But Scabbers has been in my family for years.
12 years. A curiously long life for a common garden rat. He's missing a toe, isn't he?
Black unfolds a dog-eared clipping from the Daily Prophet. It shows Ron in Egypt with his family, Scabbers on his shoulder.
So what?
All he could find of Pettigrew was his
finger. Dirty coward cut it off so everyone would think he was dead. Then he transformed into a rat.
Harry stares into Black's sunken eyes, wanting to believe, desperate to believe. He glances at Ron, his agonized face. Scabbers squirms violently.
Show me.
Lupin and Black turn to Ron. He holds Scabbers protectively.
What are you going to do to him?
Sirius and Lupin exchange a glance.
Together.
With that, Lupin takes out his wand and, as one, he and Black cast a stream of blue-white light. Scabbers twists madly in the air, then transforms into a very short man with thinning hair and grubby hands. Peter Pettigrew.
Sirius, Remus, my old friends.
Neither speaks. Pettigrew's small, watery eyes dart towards the windows and door. Suddenly, he makes a break for it, but Sirius merely shoves him back. Pettigrew's nose twitches, his gaze finding Harry. His hands flutter nervously to reveal a missing index finger.
Harry, look at you. You, you look just like your father, like James. We were the best of friends, he and I.
How dare you speak to Harry? How dare you speak James's name after what you did?
I didn't mean to. The Dark Lord. You have no idea the weapons he possesses. Ask yourself. Ask yourself what you would have done, Sirius. What would you have done?
I would have died. Died rather than betray my friends. And you should have realized, Peter, if Voldemort didn't kill you.
We would.
No. Please. You can't. Ron, you've been a good friend. A good bet. You won't let them kill me, will you? With your rat.
Ron draws back in disgust. Pettigrew turns to Hermione.
Sweet girl. Clever girl. Surely you won't let them.
As one, Lupin and Black raise their wands, point them directly into Pettigrew's face. He shrinks back, trembling, closing his eyes in fear when...
No!
Pettigrew's lids lift. Lupin and Black turn, staggered.
Harry, this man!
I know what he did. We will take him to the castle.
Bless you, boy. Bless you.
Get off! I said we take you to the castle. After that, the Dementors can have you.
As Pettigrew emerges from the gap, he prattles desperately.
Turn me into a maggot, a dung beetle, flower worm, anything but the Dementors.
As Ron draws back in disgust, a sleepwalking Snape bumps his head against a low limb. Hermione turns to Harry.
Don't worry, he's under the somnambulist charm, primarily used to transport dangerous patients to St. Mungo's.
As Harry nods, Pettigrew's pleading eyes find Hermione. Hermione tugs her robes from Pettigrew's sweaty grasp. Upon exiting the passageway, Harry sees Sirius staring in wonder at the castle, shining radiantly under the bright bowl of the night sky.
Beautiful, isn't it? I'll never forget the first time I walked through those doors. It'll be nice to do it again. Freely. By the way, that was a noble thing he did back there. He doesn't deserve it.
Harry studies Pettigrew briefly, then looks away, lost in thought.
I don't reckon my father would want his best friends to become killers for a worthless piece of vermin like Pettigrew. Besides, dead, the truth dies with him. Alive, you're free.
And that concludes the Prison of Azkaban Act 5. I hope you guys enjoyed and thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for the final Prison of Azkaban Act 6. Have a magical day. Bye bye.